Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Sky High Outdoors. I'm super excited for this video this week because I finally get to install the upgrade I've been waiting for a while, my John Boat, which is a tilt and trim unit. I went with the CMC PT35 because I thought it was the greatest quality build and easiest to install. As you can see, the wires come pre-wired and everything, so it's super nice. So the first part of the install was to take my motor off the transom. There was 4 bolts, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and so I just hit them with a ratchet to get them loose, and then took them off with my hand the rest of the way. Next thing I did was clamped on the unit to the transom, just to kind of get an idea of where I wanted it and to mark the holes out. And ultimately, this isn't exactly where I put it, but we used a level to make sure it was flat and everything was square. The next thing I did was fill the old holes with some 3M 5200 marine sealant. You definitely want to make sure you seal any holes in a transom. Going into the next thing, I punched the holes to mark them. It started with a smaller drill bit, making sure the angle of the hole was correct going with the transom. You want to start out with a small drill bit and work your way up. We ended up using 1/2 inch hardware, so we started off with a super small one and then worked our way up to the 1/2 inch. This way you get a nice hole and you minimize the chance of you messing up the drilling hole. So it's definitely worth just start with a small one and work your way up. Also, you want to be sure to not press down so hard when you have the 1/2 inch drill bit on there, or any of them for that matter. Just kind of firmly press and just bump it. Click the trigger of the drill a few times to get it started. That way you can let the drill bit do the work and you can get a nice smooth drill hole into your transom. The next thing I did was put some sealant into the holes that I just drilled for the actual trim unit to be installed in. I took a nail and spread it out on the inside of the hole. This just will help with the sealing of it and make sure no water gets in. I highly recommend doing this. Again, it's the 3M 5200 marine sealant. It's probably the best thing on the market. I did a lot of research, and I think that one definitely was the one to go with, and for the price, it's so worth it to just go ahead and install that into those holes. So we lined up the holes with the unit and inserted the hardware. As you can see, again, 1/2 inch. We're putting the bolt head on the outside of the transom with the washers and nuts and everything else on the inside of the boat. And when you go to tighten these, you kind of want to go with like the same idea you would use when you're putting on a tire, the star pattern, just to make sure everything is even. I would also recommend going back over it with a torque wrench and looking up the appropriate specs for that. I haven't done that yet, but I will be doing that soon. And like I said, you don't want to tighten them all the way up at first. Just get them pretty tight and then go with your star pattern across from each other just to make sure it's all square. Once that's done, you want to put your motor back actually on the unit. It took 3 of us to do this. The motor's super awkward and heavy, but you just want to make sure that when you do get it on there, that you get it on there as square as possible. So again, we marked the holes out, punched them, try to make them as centered as possible. Then again, we go back with a small drill bit, and we sprayed in some lubrication, WD-40, that type of thing. You don't have to per se, because it's aluminum, super soft, but just to be safe, we did it anyways. Figured it would make the drilling a little bit easier. So again, you want to start off with a smaller drill bit and work your way up. No point in trying to do it all in one time and possibly mess up your drilling. So just take it easy, take it slow, and take your time. It'll be worth it in the end when you have a finished product. The mounting bracket for my motor didn't quite fit in there, so there's that big plate of metal on the actual unit, and towards the end of the actual unit there's a small space, and it just wasn't big enough to fit in nuts and washers. So what we did was We threaded the actual holes we drilled so that way I could put bolts straight into them and thread them in there. We're gonna go back and put lock washers on there, but this is the best we could do with what we had at the time. Once you get your motor mounted onto the trim unit, next step is to hook up your wires, and this is the easiest part of the entire job. Literally, it comes pre-wired, so all you have to do is hook up the negative and positive end to your battery, run the switch up to where you want it. I wanted it right there by my throttle, and we just drilled a hole out. Again, started small, worked our way up to a larger one, and then slid the switch right in there, then hit it with the nut and everything. It's secure, and that's about it. And as you can see here, we have a functioning tilt and trim unit. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope you guys learned. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, tight lines, good tides, people. Peace.